Hello, this is Andrew with Missing Remote, and this is a set of Kenda Klondike skinny studded bicycle tires. These are 700C or 700 by 40C tires, and I'm sorry about the camera angle here. That's going to get kind of wonky because these don't fold. They are truly massive tires, and they have a wire bead in here that makes it so that you can't make them small like you would with a standard road tire, or a lot of gravel tires even. Obviously, with a studded tire, the defining characteristic is that there is a stud in it. In this case, the stud is alternating pattern down the center, and it has a pretty good set of what do you call these things? Lugs on the tire. So the intent of this is to be able to ride in pretty much any condition this winter, both on the trail or on a trail and on the road when it snows and there's ice and that sort of thing. And as you would imagine from a wire rimmed studded tire that stands up by itself, it weighs a lot. It's about 870 grams, which is within spec of the claimed weight, which is 854 plus or minus 42 grams. So it's heavy. It's a 30 TPI, so not very supple. But then again, you probably don't need that from a studded winter tire. There's not very many options in this class. This is one of 3 that I found, and it just happened that I got a pretty good deal on it, on the pair. So the plan is to put them on the bike, the new Revolt, and see how they do this winter, and of course then update you all on how they work out. Well, that was kind of boring actually. They went on the rims so quickly that there was really nothing that interesting to report, except that they go on so easy. They're actually quite reminiscent of how easy it was to put tires on like an old school hardtail mountain bike. But yeah, it was just super quick. I think it may have taken me 5 minutes to do both of them. Anyway, now onto the bike.
With about 175 miles of mixed road, trail, snow, ice, mud, puddles, nasty, everything that one can expect to run into with a tire in the wintertime here in Chicago, I thought it was a reasonable time to talk about the good things, the bad things, and everything else about this set of studded tires. Now, my experience here is with the 40C version of the Kenda Klondike studded tire, but there's also a 35C version. I think that the experience would probably be pretty much the same, except that the 35C would weigh quite a bit less. So if I had to do it over again, I might go for the 35C instead of the 40, but I think they're probably close enough either way that the experience is worth sharing between the two. So one of the major things that's great about this tire is that it's super easy to install. It has a wire bead, and it just went straight up on the rim. Really, really simple. No issues there whatsoever. There was a little bit of stud loss over time. I lost the first stud at about 2 miles, and then 2 more. This is across both the tires. And then 2 more in the next 20 miles, and then a final stud at about 50 miles. My understanding is that that's also pretty common, but it is, worth taking note. I don't know if Kenda sells replacement studs. Some other vendors who sell studded tires do, so that would be something that would be useful if you're losing a lot to stick them back in there, or buy some extras and stick them back in there. They are super loud. It kind of sounds like you're ripping Velcro while you're riding on pavement. Now, obviously, you don't hear them more than any other tire with big lugs on a trail or in the grass or dirt or whatever. But on the road, they're pretty loud. It's just a constant clickety clackety clickety clackety. You just cannot get away from it. So that's something to keep in mind if you ride with other people and they're easily annoyed by the noise. The tread pattern on the tire is more focused on trail riding than on road riding. Now, of course, that doesn't stop you from riding the road. It certainly didn't stop me from riding the road. I'm pretty confident most of the miles I've put on this tire are on the road and not on the trail. But that is, something to keep in mind. So if your usage is more focused on road than on trail, you might want to pick up a different tire. Although the other tire I was considering, which is a more commuter-focused tire, actually weighs very much the same as this tire does in its 35C configuration. I'm not sure if there's a 40. So the 35C version of the Kenda is quite a bit lighter even than the 35C version of the other tire I was looking at. So when it comes to tire pressure, I found that 70 psi was about perfect for me on the road. I'm about 70 kilos, so you may need to adjust that a little bit up and down, based on your own weight. On the trail, I found that 40 psi was the perfect pressure, but that's actually below the 50 psi rating that's written on the sidewall. So I can't recommend that you do that, but that's what I've been doing because 50 psi was okay, but it just kind of felt a little bit too much, and the 40 psi was significantly better. It does a great job shedding snow and mud when you're out on the trail. It's early January, got out for a ride in the what turned out to be a good mix of mud, snow, ice, and all kinds of other dirt and sloppy stuff. As we can see, the bike is pretty tore up. Not that that's a bad thing, but I wanted to comment on how well these tires shed mud and snow, because as you can see from the tire, there's almost nothing on it. Now, of course, there's a downside because then you end up wearing all that mud and snow, but they're the perfect tire for this kind of condition, which is kind of what I wanted them for. So the next two things kind of bleed together because you cannot separate the fact that this is just a really, really heavy tire from the overall experience riding this tire. It's incredibly heavy, and by the time you put a tube in there, it's over a kilo per wheel that you're moving, and it's at the worst place that you can put weight on a bike, that rotational mass for the wheels. And so every time you change speed or spin up or whatever, you have to move that weight. And so, as you would expect, accelerations are killer. And it's even worse if you're riding with other people who don't have a similar setup, because they're just pulling away from you, and to keep up is a bit of a chore. That said, it is a great workout when you go riding with other people with these tires. So I'm not complaining. I'm just stating a fact. And as you would also expect, the effort ramps with speed. So if it's, you're traveling at 15 miles an hour, it's not that bad. But once you get up to, 18, 19, 20 or more, it becomes, it's really difficult to keep that rotational mass going. So that is what it is. That's the experience on the road. Now, if you're on the trail and it's snowy conditions like in the photo that I have here, where actually my front derailleur got so much snow, ice, and whatever on it, it froze and I couldn't get off the little ring. Not that I really needed it until it was time to bike back home. But in those kinds of rides, you do feel the mass still, but the speeds are lower, and the fact that you have so much more confidence with a big knobby tire and the studs on there, you can ride through anything. It is just it's a perfect way to make your bike into this all-terrain assault vehicle where you go up anything, you always have traction, you don't have to worry about it, and you just go. Now you pay for that with rotational mass, but you stay upright, at least unless you do something really silly. So my overall take on the tire is that it is totally worth it. It has made it possible to get out in conditions where I wouldn't be out. I would be in the basement Zwifting. Not that I don't enjoy Zwifting, it's just that, when the weekend comes and it's the day that I want to do a group ride, or I want to get out and I have extra time or whatever, to have the ability to just get out on the bike no matter what, it's freeing and it's amazing, and it's well worth the cost of entry here, even though it kind of sucks when you're riding on the road with a bunch of other roadies who are running road tires in the winter. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I will try to answer them as best I can. Cheers.